So this morning I'm having coffee and saltine crackers for breakfast. And reason being is, I don't know, I'm just kind of tired of eggs. I've eaten a lot of eggs lately. Um, I had been reading this book over here and putting into my Steno notebook, uh, you know, as time goes by, all the different ideas and things for different videos for my YouTube channel. Uh, if you've watched any of my previous videos, at various different times I mention books and I mention how I like to read. And there was a period in my life where I read everything. I read all kinds of stuff. There was not one time, I couldn't think of one time during that period of my life where I didn't have a book with me. Either stuck in my back pocket or in my hand or even have like a little paperback book stuck in my sock under my britches. Um, there were different times whenever I'd read. So over the years, I have read all kinds of stuff, science fiction books, um, books, that famous people have written, different things. Well, I went and looked through some of my books, and I pulled this one out this morning. And this one is called Riches Within Your Reach: The Law of Higher Potential by Robert Collier. Put that up there so you can see it. But in there, I cracked open the book and I just started reading it, and it actually just immediately brought back memories of when I had read it before. But there's a little section in here that I'd like to read to you. But before I do that, I'm gonna eat a saltine cracker here and take a sip of my coffee. This book is full of all kinds of great knowledge. These older books, written by the older generations, the generations of the years past, have a whole lot to offer. Had to get that saltine cracker down. All right, so I'm going to start reading here. Something very, very important. Something I think that will help each and every one of you that are viewing this video to kind of think a little bit. Oh, it's good coffee. Put that over there. All right. So in the early days of the prairie farms here in the United States, in the early days were what, 200-300 years ago, where people were moving out west and they were creating farms out in the prairies. It says, in the early days of the prairie farms, newcomers were frequently able to buy In the early days of the prairie farms, newcomers were frequently able to buy for a song the homesteads of the original settlers, because the latter had been unable to find water. They had dug wells, but had been unable to reach the streams below. Oftentimes, however, the newcomers, the people who bought the original settlers' farms, found water in abundance. Why? Why? Because the original settlers had quit. The first settlers had quit when success was almost within their grasp. The first settlers had quit when success was almost within their grasp. The greatest success, and listen to this. This sentence says it all right here. The greatest success usually comes from one step beyond the point where defeat overtook you. Let me read that again. The greatest success usually comes from one step beyond where defeat overtook you. He who loses wealth loses much, says an old proverb. He who loses a friend loses more. But he who loses his courage loses everything. Remember that. The greatest success usually comes from one step beyond the point where defeat overtook you. Three things educators try to instill into children. The first is knowledge. The second is judgment. The third is persistence. And the greatest of these is persistence. Many a man has succeeded without education, many even without judgment, but none has ever got anywhere worthwhile without persistence. Without a strong desire, without that inner urge which pushes him on over obstacles, through discouragements, to the goal of his heart's desire. Persistence. The greatest of these is persistence. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination are almost omnipotent. Persistence and determination. The slogan, "Press On," has solved and always solved the problems of the human race. So, yeah, I mean this book, I remember reading this years and years ago. This book, of course, it's so old, it's cracking in the middle here. It's got that old musty book smell, but it's so full of wonderful, wonderful knowledge. And right here it says, as the poet so well expressed it, in your own self lies destiny. Let this vast truth cast out all fear and prejudice, all hesitation. Know that you are great with divinity. So dominate environment and enter into bliss. Love largely and hate nothing. Hold no aim that does not accord with universal good. Hear what the voices of the silence say. All joys are yours if you put forth your claim. Once let the spiritual laws be understood, material things must answer and obey. So that was some poet wrote that. Yeah, there's different things in here. I think my but anyway, I guess you kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. Is no matter what you're up against in life, whether it be say, like some of my YouTube videos have been talking about recently is financial stress, right? No matter what you're against in your life, as long as you have the desire and you persist, right? You can have some knowledge, you can have great judgment, right? You can have some education, you can have a little bit of genius in your mind, maybe. But the two main things that will get you through any situation is desire and persistence. So the book is called about the law of higher potential. And this chapter is called The God in You. And of course, he's a very religious man as well. The guy that read this book. But anyway, it's very, very, very interesting stuff in here. And that one part of this book had a great influence on me. I remember a long time ago, and when I say a long time ago, I think I originally picked this book up like 45 years ago. But I remember reading through, and this one part in here really kind of stuck with me over time. And that one part is about persistence. And the greatest success usually comes from one step beyond the point where defeat overtook you. So if you're in a situation in your life and you feel defeated and you feel like you want to give up and you feel like you're not going to reach your goal, that you're not going to gain that one desire that you have in your life, or for the moment, financially or whatever, remember, the two things that are going to get you through and get you what you want out of life is desire and persistence. I think I'm going to turn the camera off and just read. I might just read a couple of chapters here. If I run across anything else in here that I feel like I need to, kind of share with all of you, then I'll definitely turn the camera on. Uh-oh, I almost spilt my saltines.